Hello everyone, welcome back to 40 Days with Dietrich. Today's excerpt is taken again from discipleship. They're not all going to be from discipleship. We hear it from discipleship for the next couple of days. This book tends to clump these passages together. And I think that's actually important because it's important to kind of get Bonhoeffer's flow of thought a little bit. Even though these are excerpts, it's important to try to do that as best we can. And so we're going to hear from discipleship again and for the next couple days before we end up going to different books. The title given to this excerpt is Obedience and Belief. There is a great danger in telling the difference between a situation where faith is possible and where it is not. It is clear that there is nothing in the situation as such to indicate which kind it is. Only the call of Jesus qualifies it as a situation where faith is possible. Second, a situation where faith is possible is never made by humans. Discipleship is not a human offer. The call alone creates the situation. Third, the value of the situation is never in itself. The call alone justifies it. Finally, and most of all, the situation which enables faith can itself happen only in faith. The concept of a situation in which faith is possible is only a description of the reality contained in the following two statements, both of which are equally true. Only the believers obey, and only the obedient believe. This passage might seem a little bit more of his dense articulations of the faith. One of the things that he talks about in other works, and you see this primarily in ethics, but you see it here, is Bonhoeffer talks about the sacred secular kind of divide as we so often articulate it. Luther talked about two kingdoms, and Bonhoeffer is taking up that language, although he uses the language of two spheres. And what Bonhoeffer wants to do is essentially say that division doesn't actually exist, because the reality of faith is our life lived in the presence of Jesus. And so it doesn't matter if we're doing churchy things, that is done in the presence of Jesus. But if we're engaged in secular work, that also is engaged through the presence of Jesus. For Bonhoeffer, Jesus creates reality. And so it matters not kind of what type of situation we are in. And so this is kind of what he's trying to get at here, that there's a danger in separating our life into sacred and secular, because what that does is that cuts off our faith, but also it cuts off our acknowledgement of Jesus in certain places of our lives. And for Bonhoeffer, we should not be doing that. All of life is contained in our relationship with Jesus. And so he talks about how we live out this reality of life. And he says that it's Jesus, the call of Jesus, the call to commitment to Jesus, which qualifies the situation where faith is possible. Well, the call to commitment for Jesus is everywhere. And so it qualifies every situation as a situation where faith is possible. The call alone, the call to commitment to Jesus, for which we have all received, it creates the situation of faith. And the call of Jesus actually provides the ability to act in faith. That has to be a foundation for all of our life. And so the challenge for us and the reflection out of this passage might be, have I been prone to separating life into compartments? Have I sectioned my faith life into this compartment over here where I do churchy things or faithful things or do my religious disciplines, but then I've separated over here to the secular things like grocery shopping or work or school or whatever that might be, and never the two shall interact? Have I been tempted to do that? And so where does the call of Jesus call me to actually blend the two? To see that Christ's call to commitment and Christ's call to this active discipleship is as much true in those secular places as they are in the sacred places of our lives. That phrase that he ends this section with, that only the believers obey and only the obedient believe, it's one of his well-known quotes that people like to quote often in blogs and articles and statements and sermons and things like that. And his point is that the two have to be held together. That one doesn't necessarily flow out of the other. That to be a believer, to be a disciple, to be a follower of Jesus, is to obey Jesus, to take the words of Jesus seriously, to follow where Jesus leads. And that itself can be a challenge for our lives and worthy of our reflections. God bless you as you journey through this season of Lent, and I will see you tomorrow.